All the dead bodies left behind by the three forces had mysteriously disappeared overnight, leaving no trace of the fierce battle that took place spanning over the vast snowy field of the shelter. As the days go by, the shelter's lounging hall had become very lively of late, a stark contrast to what happened outside a few days before. The women were leisurely playing mahjong, while Chunlei and Lu Karen were rivet, enjoying a video game they were playing on the television. Zhang Yi and Uncle Yu were also engrossed in the game of Shangqi. At that moment, Liang Yu was passing by, heading to her room when Chunlei asked, "Teacher Liang, are you feeling better?" Looking at Chunlei, Liang Yu said nothing and simply nodded. Then she immediately turned around and head upstairs, leaving Chunlei with a bewildered look. Lu Karen patted him on the back. "Don't mind it. Teacher Liang has been like this for the past few days since she woke up." Hearing this, Zhang Yi remarked maybe her mood has changed. Let her go. It doesn't seem to be a big deal. He then got up after winning the game. And as he stretched, Zhang Yi continued. With Morning Dew and Radiant Prosperity base severely damaged, there will be no major actions for the time being. Xing Tian also took his Emerald Waterside base to get a big advantage, and the Snow Worship sect can preach in Tian High City and scrupulously in the future. This situation now can be regarded as declaring our victory. At least we no longer have to worry about what little moves they will make in the short term. Zhang Yi said this as he heads closer to the window, and as he took a look outside, he realized that something was amiss. But what could it be? Zhang Yi suddenly bent down a little bit to take a closer look, and upon realization, his eyes immediately widened and his mouth involuntarily opened ajar, highlighting his utter disbelief. Wait, everything seems clean. Too clean. Almost like nothing is out there. Are the bodies missing? Why are the bodies missing? Yesterday afternoon, I remember vividly that they were still there. Zhang Yi then took out a binoculars from his alternate space to check the vast snowy field, and still found nothing. Could it be that the Snow Worship sect took care of it? No, that's not possible. If they did, then where are they? All the dead bodies are nowhere to be seen, and they were definitely not buried under snow and ice. The corpses had really just disappeared. Damn it. There are many strange things in this bloody apocalypse that cannot be explained. Even living things can mutate. Will corpses also mutate? Soon, Zhang Yi donned his combat suit, preparing to go outside when Zhou Haimei, with a puzzled look, looked his way from behind. "Hey Zhang Yi, are you going out?" she asked Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi reached for the door in the corridor and replied, "Yes, it's probably nothing, but I believe I saw that there are some changes outside, so I'm going to take a look." Outside, Zhang Yi pulled out a handgun and approached a snowy area on the compound still heavy tainted with blood. When he got there, he crouched down to examine the countless pairs of footprints. Zhang Yi noticed that the footprints only show the direction of departure, and no trace of coming. This only signifies that the corpses were not stolen by anyone, but stood up on their own and walked away, step by step. At that moment, Zhang Yi was alerted. His eyes widened when he heard movements not far from behind. But when he turned back, there was nothing there. This is really beginning to look like pet cemetery shit. But what's there to be afraid of? I have killed so many living people. So what if there might be the possibility of these corpses coming back to life? What can they do to me? There was no end in sight, and no one knew where the bodies had gone. Zhang Yi followed the trail as he reassures himself. He found out that the trail leads further and further away from the shelter. A while later, the shelter's door creaked open, and a large pair of boots walked in. It was Zhang Yi. He called everyone present and decided to break the news to them without causing panic. Don't be afraid of what I'm going to say next. Just take a deep breath first and calm yourself down. Last night, more than 1,000 bodies that were scattered on the snowy field outside the shelter had disappeared. Immediately upon hearing this, everyone's expression was that of horror. They all stared at Zhang Yi in complete shock, speechless. So Zhang Yi continued that he'd taken a look at the footprints on the ground. And from the looks of it, the corpses probably walked by themselves. Yang Min and Zhou Qi were beyond petrified. So with a terrified tone, Zhou Qi told Zhang Yi to quit it with the joke. It was way too scary. Even just thinking about it makes her want to never look outside the windows again, let alone go outside. Chunlei, with a frightened look, asked Zhang Yi, "Boss, did you collect all the corpses and then deliberately pull this prank to make fun of us?" I didn't want to believe it at first, but the facts are before my eyes. You can go and see for yourself. Everyone should finish their meal first, and then the two of you and Liang Yu will follow me outside to find out what's going on. I discovered where their footprints went. So, as long as we follow them, we will be able to find clues. Hearing this, no one had any objections. A while later, the group heads out in the car, following the footprints left behind in the snow, and soon they reached the end of the trail. All the footprints converge at the same area, heading into a giant hole in the ground. Everyone got out of the car, and as they approached the giant hole, they stopped at the cliff and checked the depth. It was pitch black inside, a bottomless pit with distinctive markings, indicating that the hole was not made with a machine or any large tool. Chunlei turned to Uncle Yu and asked, "What the hell is this? Why did those corpses come to this place?" Uncle Yu suggested that it could be a mutant who can control corpses. Liang Yu looked back and points out that the distance the corpses traveled was too far. It would be too terrifying to have such a strange mutant who could control thousands of corpses and make them travel such a distance. At this point, Chunlei was shaking all over. He wondered if it could be a zombie crisis which has broken out. Zhang Yi replied that he hopes that's the case. "You don't think there are real zombies, do you? If there are, how much of a threat could they pose to us today? Also, this is not scientific. Under such a temperature, the corpses had already been frozen. So how could they walk like normal people?" Uncle Yu was looking back and forth over and over. The area seems familiar to him. Seems like a site. Of course, I know where this place is. I have already stayed in this community. This is Tsitsu Jiayuan City. So that means this place under our feet must be the Tsitsu subway station. Hearing this, Zhang Yi seems to have been enlightened. "Oh, I sort of get it now. In other words, these dead people actually entered this hole to get to the station, then entered the subway tunnel, right? If that's the case, then there really is something or someone controlling these corpses in the subway tunnel." However, knowing this raises the next obvious question. What should we do with this place? Ask Uncle Yu. If someone can really control dead corpses, then he must have more than 1,000 corpses under his control, and the number may be unimaginable. If such a person becomes our opponent, it will be very difficult and very disadvantageous for us. Zhang Yi holds his chin and pondered for a while. Then he raised his hand and told everyone that they would leave whatever is down there alone for now. After all, they have no conflict with them, so they shouldn't take the initiative to establish contact with them or whatsoever. The group then decided to leave the place, forgoing any intentions to meet whatever was down that pit. From now on, stay far away from this place and don't let anyone get close to it. Hearing this, Liang Yu asked Zhang Yi, "Then, does this mean you plan on just keeping this unknown thing as it is? Just keep it. What are you talking about?" Zhang Yi grinned. "Anyway, even if something goes wrong one day, I won't be the one who's gonna have the biggest headache." Zhang Yi had always tried his utmost best to avoid conflict and any fights, so why would he change his strategy now? If whatever was down there never bothers or interfere with his plans, then he wouldn't mind coexisting with it. Meanwhile, in Yuelu district, the snow had now covered up to the 8th floor. However, the whole district was a bit lively today. After several months without visit, the Grand Cleric Shao Jinhua of the Snow Worship Sect approached the survivors of Building 18. Li Jian and his entire group respectfully greets the Grand Cleric upon encounter. "We respectfully greet our benefactor from the Snow Worship Sect, and have seen the respected Great Decree." Shao Jinhua was pleased hearing this. "Li Jian, it seems that you can already use the ability given to you by the Snow God very well." "Yes, praise the Snow God. Praise the Almighty Leader. Thank you, Grand Cleric, for allowing me to receive the blessing of the Leader. Now, we have not just been able to survive but thrive as well. That's great to hear. And I also have good news for you. You've been granted permission from the Leader to follow us to Tianfeng District. A divine chance to live with the Leader and all the congregants." Everyone was startled hearing this, but the one who was beyond surprise was Li Jian. He asked in disbelief, "Tianfeng District? Don't be afraid. It's an apocalyptic paradise. All members of our Snow Worship Sect are there," said Shao Jinhua. "In the near future, it will become a utopia that is not affected by the apocalypse. And now, you and your people have been chosen and qualified to live there. And I mentioned you, Li Jian, to the Leader. She appreciates your abilities very much and thinks that your abilities are indispensable to our Snow Worship Sect. So as long as you go there, you and your family will receive special care." Li Jian couldn't believe his ears after hearing the news. He knelt down and loudly praised. "Praise the great Snow God. Praise the Leader. I, Li Jian, am willing to dedicate my modest and utmost efforts to the Snow Worship Sect." Seeing this, Shao Jinhua told him to get up and bring his family and also any daily necessities. "Gather everything and everyone and follow me to the camp of the Snow Worship Sect." The scene then shifts to Tianfeng District, specifically, the area where the Snow Worship Sect resides. Shao Jinhua, Li Jian and his entire family just arrived. Everyone was amazed with the way the people of the sect had adapted and were thriving in the apocalypse. And although it was amazing to see, everyone seems nervous and uneasy. Immediately upon entering the community, Xiao Jianhua called Li Jian. Li Jian, come with me. The leader of our sect would like to see you in person. Hearing this made Li Jian ask about his wife and son. Don't worry, we will have someone to take care of them. Then, Li Jian's wife reassures him. It is an honor to be summoned by the leader in person. Just go and come back safely. We will be waiting for you here. Only after his wife's words did Li Jian feel at ease and quickly follow behind Xiao Jianhua. Soon, he was brought before Yuan Kongya, who was praying beside the altar in the church. Seeing that the leader was a woman, Li Jian was surprised. God is everywhere and ever-changing, and his image depends on the heart of the believer. So don't worry about such details, Xiao Jianhua said with a smile. Li Jian bowed respectfully and replied, Yes, I understand. He then loudly praised, I am honored to meet the leader. My name is Li Jian, and I have been blessed by your grace to have survived until now. Yuan Kongya patted his shoulder, pleased to hear his dedication. Very good. I have been told by the snow god about your potential to be a great decree of power. From now on, you will be a priest of the snow worship sect. Li Jian immediately knelt down upon hearing this, and loudly said, I am willing to give everything for the snow worship sect. Yuan Kongya then turned around and instructed Li Jian to follow. She then led Li Jian to the abandoned building behind the church, the sacred place only accessible to her and her priests. Only this time, a large tree stood at the entrance. Li Jian instinctively stepped back, shocked at what he was seeing. How come this tree is still able to flourish? Yuan Kongya calmly explained to Li Jian. This is the sacred tree of my snow worship sect. It can take roots hundreds of meters deep underground to absorb nutrients and then bear fruit. Its fruits are our most important food. Yuan Kongya reached her hand out and almost like magic, a bright red apple immediately grew from the end of a vine and was gently placed in her hand. Yuan Kongya, with a somewhat playful yet serious look, offered the bright red apple to Li Jian. This is our hope for survival. Do you want to try it?